Hello everybody, this is Paul Neeson with Torah Life Ministries, and one of the things here at Torah Life Ministries we do is we have a strong heart to keep purity from every sense that's found in the Word in people's lives. And a big part of that is not a popular part of that, and what's popular is not always right, what's right is not always popular. Well, modesty and diet are two things that has been put on my heart to teach and let people know about. And they're two forgotten things. You know, our body is a vessel, and we want to keep our temple, our tabernacle as clean as possible. And I believe we're disrespecting our Creator. You know, when we go and put junk in our bodies, that's going to create an illness that we are responsible for ourselves. But when we look at the outer appearance of our body and the way we dress and the way we look, it really does attract either good or bad from other people. And, you know, it's not a popular message, and some people don't like to hear it, but there are certain things that we can look back in history, where they came from, why they came, and we think about why people do certain things, and we can just understand the heart of certain people. In the scriptures it says, as a face is reflected in water, the actions reflect the heart. And, you know, we could say a lot of things, folks, but our heart is really shown by our works. And if I came out here on this film with no shirt on and I shaved my chest to look bigger and muscular, or even I wore a tight shirt to show off the muscles, well, you could see that I still have some vanity connected to the way I am and to what I'm trying to accomplish. Well, it's the same thing when somebody wears tight clothes to show off their shape of their body. There's some vanity there. Now, I understand about patience. And I understand about some people got to grow into this, and it takes time to get to a stage of purity. That's all fine, and that's okay. But we have to face the truth and realize that we're growing. We're not there yet. And I really respect when people say, I know this is the purest way to do something. I'm just not ready yet. I'm not there yet. I still have to grow into it. I'm still struggling with my past. That's okay. It's a struggle. It is a struggle. That's what nature, that's what our human nature is. It's a struggle. But once we get over that, then we've gotten to that place that there's going to be newer struggles. So I always respect people that face the truth and realize they have an issue and they're doing their best to overcome it. But then there are other people that'll make excuses for their issues and try to say, well, it's okay because, and give blah, 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 and all these excuses. I have no respect for those people. And you know, really, it doesn't matter even what I believe. It's what the scriptures say. And the scriptures clearly define to me and many people that read it what modesty is and isn't. And people always ask me, well, what is modesty? Well, I'm not quick to tell people what modesty is and what modesty looks like. What I'm quick to tell people is what modesty isn't and what it shouldn't be. So when I see people that are wearing high heels or tight clothes showing off the figure of their body, or putting on makeup that they don't even look the same when they take off the makeup, or worshiping their hair, these things are not modest, folks. And you know, if somebody has a scar and they're putting makeup on to cover the scar, that's different than putting on so much makeup that when you take off the makeup, you don't look like the same person. And whether people want to admit it or not, there's a negative result that happens when we're immodest. And there's a reason why the divorce rate in the church today is higher than out of the church, because people aren't listening to the biblical understanding of modesty. And I think it's time that people started to shed their excuses and start covering up their flesh and started to realize that your actions are reflected by your heart. And it's not easy. It's not easy to realize that what you've been doing is wrong, but we got to look at this issue of modesty and why we do what we do. So when you leave your house every morning and you look in the mirror before you go out of your house, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you saying? Are you saying, I want to look set apart? I'm going to be different from the world because the world is immodest, so I don't want to fit in, or I shouldn't be fitting in? Or are you looking in the world and saying, I don't want to draw any attention to myself by the way I look, whether it's modest or immodest? I don't want to draw any attention to myself. No. That's not the heart of modesty. The heart of modesty is to draw attention to yourself, to be different, to be set apart and holy. I want to draw attention to myself because I'm so holy. The other day I was at a museum and somebody came up to me and said, can I take a picture of you? And I said, why? They said, because you look very interesting. You're different. And when I looked at all the other people, the men and the women, because modesty isn't just for women, it's for men also. When I saw all the other people and looked how they were with their immodesty, I was happy to be set apart and draw attention to myself for the right reason. So some people will say in their excuse, well, if I'm too modest or if I'm dressed like a nun, I don't want to draw attention to myself, because that's not a good thing. No, that's an excellent thing to draw attention to yourself for the right reasons. Some people call me legalistic because I do my best to follow the scriptures so closely. Even Christians will call me legalistic. Well, I don't find that as a bad thing that I'm drawing my attention to myself because I'm living a biblical life. Now you might or they might, but I don't. So I think we want to draw attention to ourselves for the right reasons. So when you leave your house in the morning and you look in the mirror, you want to say, am I either not drawing attention to myself at all? But if not, am I fitting in too much where I'm not drawing attention? Or you want to really say, am I so set apart where people notice? And am I holy? Am I dressed modest? And if you fit in with everyone else, I tell people all the time, without saying a word, if you're standing next to somebody else, somebody should know if you're a believer or not, or at least if you have some type of biblical lifestyle by just looking at the way you look. That's the bottom line. That's it. Without saying a word, your appearance should speak volumes. And many times when people are standing next to somebody else, people won't notice a difference. Yes, that person could start speaking and they could start talking, and then what they're saying and by their actions, people will start to notice a difference. But even going beyond that and not saying a word, just by the way you look, has a lot to say with who you are. And remember this, ladies and men out there, your appearance does not cancel out the effect of your heart. So your heart might be very pure in what you're doing and what you're thinking, but if your appearance does not reflect that purity, it still can create an issue. I know there are people out there that don't go out there trying to create this issue of immodesty or causing another brother or sister to stumble, but just because that's not their goal doesn't mean they're not making that happen. So I think as believers we need to do our best to be as pure as possible, to be set apart, which means holy, or to be holy, which means set apart, and not conform to the standards of this world. All right? If you have any comments or questions about this video, post them below the video. And if you're offended or hurt by something I said, as I say often, you probably needed to hear it the most. And you know, I did another video about salvation, who's saved and not saved. I'm not saying you're not saved if you're wearing lipstick or high heels. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we have to look at our heart and really realize the things we're struggling with and not struggling with. If you can't leave your house without makeup on, it might be a struggle for you. So we want to think about these things and just be honest with ourselves. All right, everybody, and thank you very much for checking us out here at Torah Life Ministries. And I'm not trying to win a popularity contest, just telling everybody whatever you do is fine. It might be okay for you at this point in your life, but it doesn't mean it's pure and from the scriptures. And just because the scriptures don't say to wear a head covering is modest, doesn't mean it's not modest to wear a head covering. Just because the scriptures don't mention high heels is immodest, doesn't mean it's not immodest to wear high heels. And certainly just because the scriptures don't say to paint your face and make yourself sexy for the world isn't immodest. It doesn't directly say that, but the principle of the scriptures actually do show that it's immodest to do something like that. So we want to look at not only the reasons why we're doing something, but what we're actually doing. Okay, folks? Your reason might not be to go out and seduce the world, but what you're doing might be going out to seduce the world. And you know what? If you're not an attractive woman by the world standards, and you say in defense, oh, what's the best I wear a little lipstick isn't going to cause my brother to stumble. Well, you might not think you're attractive to the world, but there's a brother out there that might find you more attractive with that lipstick than without that lipstick. And you got to ask, why am I even putting this paint on my lips? What's the point? And if you are an attractive woman to the worldly standards and you're enhancing your attractiveness even more, then even more of an issue. So let's do our best to be more modest. And here's another thing, folks. Just because you're modest doesn't mean you can't be classy and attractive according to biblical standards. That's very important. You can still have some sense of fashion, but in a modest standpoint. And you don't have to be a plain Jane, and you don't have to wear a garbage bag to be considered modest. That's a big misunderstanding out there. I know a lot of women that are, and men that dress modest, and they certainly have their own sense of style to them. And their goal isn't to be cute, or their goal isn't to be a sexy. Their goal is to be modest and cover their body, but still enjoy their lives and what they're doing. All right, so if you have any comments or questions, post them below the video. Thanks for checking us out. Until then, everybody, have a great day, and shalom, shalom.
Come out of the world, oh my people, seek the truth, avoid the evil, learn Yahweh's ways, Torah Life Ministries. Come out of the world,